Hey, good morning. I just landed this morning from the other side of the world. You can have more energy than that. Good morning.
Good morning.
Ah, wonderful. We'll let the last people sit down, and let's start. So hi, I'm Chen Goldberg,
And I'm Aparna Sinha.
and today we'll share with you how Google Cloud is helping enterprises through the digital transformation, especially in Europe, and some new capabilities we are building to make that easier.
I lead the product team for Anthos GKE, and I've worked on the Kubernetes project since the earliest days. When we talk to IT leaders about modernization, they express a lot of excitement about Kubernetes. And they also express a need for an opinionated and enterprise-ready solution.
That need led to Anthos. I'm leading the engineering team for Anthos, and our team has been working on Anthos for over 5 years, starting with the idea of Kubernetes, side by side with our customers. Google Cloud has had outstanding success with large global companies in every industry. Today, every industry is a digital industry, and you probably have noticed how it changes our lives. From your taxi service, to your grocery service, to your kids' school. Next week, there is a big shopping event in the US, and in the past few years, we have seen how people are less coming to the stores and actually using more online shopping, and much of that is powered by Google Cloud Platform. We are leading with a technology that is bring personalization, intelligence, efficiency, access, and speed to your applications. But it's not just new companies. You can see at this list, many global enterprises with complex legacy infrastructure are betting on Google Cloud for their digital transformation.
Many of you here today are probably also working in enterprise teams. What does this industry transformation mean for you? We found that the role of the IT team has changed significantly over the last 5 years. If you think about it, CIOs were responsible for cost cutting. And today, CIOs are still responsible for cost cutting. But on top of that, they're also responsible for making sure the business can move quickly. They're responsible for agility. And that contributes to the top line. This is really exciting, of course, but it also is a little bit scary because you're asked to do more with less. You have to make sure there's agility without creating security risk. When we talk to enterprise CIOs, they tell us that in order to enable their developers to be agile, they need an agile platform. And they have 2 questions for us. First, how can I obtain this agile platform? Should I build it myself from scratch? Or should I buy it, something that's complete and enterprise ready? And second, how do I balance my investment in a platform on-prem versus what I'm doing in public cloud? The answers to these 2 questions are actually related. And we believe the key is to invest in a platform that works the same on-prem as it does in the cloud, as it does across clouds. The reality is that most enterprises have on-prem as well as are using multiple clouds. Your IT platform should reflect that reality. Otherwise, you'd have to retrain your engineers and your DevOps teams individually for each platform. And that means that you're fragmenting your talent, you're fragmenting your investments. And in the long term, that's even worse. You're actually depriving your developers from having the choice to use the best technologies. And no CIO wants that. So if you believe that everyone needs a multi-cloud platform, the next question is, should you build it yourself? And you can build it yourself, and you can upgrade it and maintain it over the years on each cloud. This requires a lot of engineering talent, a special kind of engineering talent, talent that really could be used for your core innovation instead.
Luckily, we have a better solution for you. Here at Google Cloud, we have built precisely that, this platform. So you can focus on building products and delighting your customers. Anthos is an application modernization platform that enables you to build and manage modern applications and run them wherever you need. It gives you one consistent experience in both your on-premises and cloud environments. Customers need the consistency, the option to innovate consistently in their store, branches, or at the stadium. We are delivering to you our opinionated managed modernization platform, including baked in our SRE, best practices, site reliability engineers, and years of experience building the technologies that are powering Anthos. We offer optionality together with reducing complexity, risk, and cost. This is where Anthos is different. With Anthos, you get a consistent software development by keeping your development teams together, using the same tools and the same best practices, no matter where the application is running. Anthos is not just write once, run anywhere. It's also build one operational model and apply it everywhere you need your application to run. For example, you can apply the same security policies to all of your applications without being compromised due to fragmentation. You can avoid vendor lock-in and inflexibility. Anthos gives you a lot of benefits over the open source technologies, but you are still using the open core or the open platform, so you can avoid being tied into a single vendor or sacrificing your flexibility. And the most important thing, you can start today. Anthos is a software solution, which means you can start using your existing hardware and get ongoing software updates, making sure you get all the most recent features and you are up to date with all the most important security fixes. As much as those things matter to the business and for digital transformation, it matters for the people. Digital transformation is a cultural and a people change as much as it's a technology change. Anthos allows you to make this journey at your own pace. It's not a rip and replace. Your teams, for example, can continue and use their favorite monitoring and development tools. You can integrate your existing identity stores or storage system.
So that sounds awesome. Most people are super excited, and we have a lot of conversations about Anthos. But then they ask us, how am I going to do this? Do I have to worry about rewriting everything? Is it a major overhaul? Actually, it's not. No matter where you are in your modernization journey, Anthos makes it really easy to get started. If you have a Kubernetes cluster, and let's face it, most enterprises do have a Kubernetes cluster by now somewhere, you can simply bring that cluster and connect it to the Anthos management plane. If you do not have a Kubernetes cluster, you can get started really easily with GKE. It takes less than 5 minutes to create one. That's less time than it takes to make a cup of tea. And while you're making your cup of tea, you can deploy an application, you can launch it, you can have a new service running. In fact, a few times. If you want to do modernization on-prem, you can use Anthos on-prem as well. That takes slightly more time, maybe more like a half-day cricket match. And if you have no containerized applications at all, we're going to show you later today that you can bring your VM-based monoliths into the containerized environment with Migrate for Anthos. But first, let's see Anthos in action. So I'm going to show you how you can bring your existing clusters to the Anthos control plane. To do this, we're going to go to the Google Cloud Platform UI, the Kubernetes service, and we're going to look at the clusters that we have. In this view, we see that these are the clusters in the environment. So there's a GCP cluster, which is GKE, but there's also external clusters. You see here that there's a cluster in another cloud that's running in Germany, and a cluster that's running on-prem in Turkey. And these are here because I've already connected them. But in this demo, I want to show you how we do that connection. So we're going to bring in another cluster, one that's running in yet another cloud, into this environment. So let's see. In order to do that, I'm going to run this demo to register the cluster. And so I have an external cluster, a COPS cluster, running in another cloud. In order to register it, I'm going to create a service account for that cluster, as well as a service account key. This is how the cluster will authenticate itself to GCP. Having created that service account key, I'm then going to bind it to a connect agent. The agent is a simple deployment that's going to run in that external cluster and then call back into Google Cloud, into the Anthos hub. And that's how the connection will be established. With a single command, you can go ahead and register that cluster. So we're taking this service account key, we're going to attach it to the connect agent, and as this command runs, that agent manifest will be created, it will be deployed in the cluster externally, and then that cluster will call out to the Google Hub service, and we'll see, okay, great, so we see that started, you see that the connect agent manifest has been created, and it's being deployed into the cluster. And once that completes, that cluster will call us, and it will register with this same platform, and that's all done. You see, that was done in less time than it takes to make a cup of tea, a good cup of tea, of course. So now we refresh the UI, and this new cluster has shown up. And you see here that there's a COPS cluster running on another cloud, and I can go in and I can look at this cluster. I can see all aspects of it, how it's performing, the storage that's attached to it, how many nodes it has, whether those nodes are running, up and running, anything that you would do with a normal Kubernetes cluster. And you can also do active management, not just monitoring, but you can deploy applications. And to demonstrate that, we're just going to deploy a simple Nginx image from our container registry. And as we do that, you have a choice of which cluster you want to deploy. So I mentioned we have several environments here. You can choose all of them if you want, or any one of them. And so let's go ahead and do this deployment. This is demonstrating multi-cluster, in fact, multi-cloud operations from a single pane of glass. And you see that since that cluster is already registered, we're going ahead and creating the deployment and then creating the pods. And then, of course, you can go ahead and take active operations on that pod itself. So we were in the COPS cluster, and you'll see that there's, in fact, an Nginx deployment that's been created. It has 3 pods running, and you see that it was created just now at 11:27. The pods are running, and I can take actions on this workload. I can auto-scale it. I can expose it as an external service. I can do a rolling upgrade. All of that in a cluster that is completely external from Google Cloud. So that shows you how easy it is to get started and how powerful it is to be able to run these operations from a central pane of glass. But setting up the environment is one thing. In an enterprise, you have to make sure that it's actually enterprise ready. And to do that, you need to make sure that the environment across all of the different clouds and clusters is in fact secure. Anthos not only greatly simplifies the deployment, it also has built-in capabilities to enable security by default. Specifically, Anthos automates security operations at multiple levels of the stack. So it takes care of security at the service level, giving you a lot of flexibility, at the network level, and also at the container and compute level. We have a capability that lets you set policies in a consistent way from a single pane of glass, and we'll demonstrate that a little later, so that they can be applied to all of your environments. And then lastly, the actual supply chain of the software is also something that you can automate security into. With tools like binary authorization, we help you build security checks upstream into the development process. So you make sure that only validated, verified images are integrated into your build and release process. Developer and operator agility requires improved and more secure software supply chains. And that's what Anthos enables.
This is really great. And the ability to apply the same security policy is what drew DenizBank to Anthos. I'm delighted to invite Dilek Duman to the stage, EVP of IT and Support at DenizBank. Thank you very much, Dilek. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me here.
So please tell us about DenizBank.
Yeah, DenizBank is actually a new bank. It is established in 1997 from scratch. We started as being the 81st bank in Turkey. Now it turned out to be that we are the 5th biggest private bank in Turkey.
Wow, that's amazing growth. How did that growth happen?
The main reason is that we didn't follow the same path with the other banks. We didn't use mainframes, for example, from the beginning. And we always based on innovation power, which comes from our IT company, Intertech. Let me tell you how we started with that. In 2005, Intertech developed a banking solution. Mm-hmm. It's not just core banking, it's a banking platform, which means that any kind of software a bank in need of is developed by Intertech using open technologies. And the front end was fully web-based. Think about in 2005, we decided and we did that. At that time, it was just a crazy idea. Everybody was laughing at us. And they are telling that it can be a break for the bank. But we decided and we did it. This solution is today running on not just in DenizBank, but in 11 countries. 52 banking clients is using this solution. So we go in different way.
So this is the mobile bank that you are proposing?
Yeah, actually, you know, the time is passing, the technology is changing, and now it's the cloud time. It's not enough to benefit only from open technologies. So we concentrated on cloud, and we decided that we have to re-engineer our environment with microservices technologies. So we developed this mobile banking solution. It is running in DenizBank today, and every day we are getting more than 50 million requests. And 2.5 million is just the banking transactions every day occurring. And we are benefiting Kubernetes, and also we are benefiting from Anthos for that.
So why did you choose Anthos for your bank?
Yeah, it's the story started in San Francisco last May. Remember, you had the Google Cloud Next event in San Francisco, and we were just sitting one of the chairs over there. You announced Anthos. We were sitting together with my CEO, and we decided that we will go for Anthos. The main reason is that for containerization, we decided to use Kubernetes, and Google is the creator for Kubernetes. So we believe that it's the correct way to go with Google. So we decided very quickly, and you see, just within 5 months, we made it to work on production.
Awesome. More a bit about the business. You're operating in different countries. What about the regulations that you have in Turkey, for example?
Yeah, in Turkey, actually, we have to keep all our data within Turkey borders, and there's no cloud provider in Turkey. So we are in need of a solution which can work on-prem and also can support the public cloud. So this problem is solved by Anthos, actually. With 11 countries, we just developed one, but can implement our solution anywhere.
Wow. That's really amazing and inspiring. Thank you very much, Dilek, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Thanks.
Thank you.
So DenizBank's use case actually is perfect for demonstrating the value of Anthos's centralized policy management capability. Anthos lets you create common configuration and administrative policies from a secure repository, and it watches for changes to that repository to make sure that your desired state is implemented across your environment. Now we're going to give you a demo of that using DenizBank as an inspiration. So the use case we will show here will allow domain-specific, geographical-specific restrictions. Let's say that we have a bank in Turkey and another branch of the bank in Germany. And we have some regulations in each of these environments. In Turkey, we want to have Turkish administrators be the only ones who can access the logs in Turkey. And then in Germany, we have a similar requirement, only the German auditor should be able to access those logs. That's what we're going to automate and show from Anthos right now. There are, of course, many other policy use cases. As you can see here, you can enforce MTLS from a centralized namespace. You can also enforce service-to-service authorization controls and many other pieces. But let's first show you what we're going to do for geographical controls. So if we can switch over. All right, great. All right. So before we do that, here you see that we have, as you remember, a cluster in Germany and another environment in Turkey. The Turkish environment is on-prem. We want to make sure that there's actually no such auditor roles in either Turkey or Germany before we start the demo, just to make sure that you know it's real. So we're going to switch context to the on-prem cluster and check if there's an auditor Turkey role. And in fact, you see an error. No such role exists. Similarly, we're going to switch context to the German cluster and see if there's an auditor German role, and no such German role exists either. Now we're going to go to our central repository. This is a repository where we store all of our configuration and our policies for all the clusters in our environment. And what you'll see here in this configuration repo is that we have our cluster registry. There's a clusters file, and you see here that all the same clusters that you were looking at in the UI, the Turkish on-prem cluster, the German AKS cluster, these are all captured here. And we're going to use labels and selectors in order to make these roles and role bindings. So for example, the Turkish cluster was labeled with the location Turkey. We're going to use that label as a selector to create the Turkish auditor role and bind it just in that cluster. Same thing for Germany. We're going to use the German location selector, and we're going to use that to create, to do the binding. Now let's actually see how we create the role bindings. This is actually very similar. This is just using Kubernetes RBAC policies. And so this is currently commented out, but we're going to push this policy in just a moment. But to show you what the policy is, we have created a role called Auditor of Germany. And that is going to use this German location selector to create that role in such a cluster. And that role will have get, watch, and list permissions to the pods in that cluster. Similarly, we're creating a role and role binding for Turkey. So this is the Turkish auditor role, very much does the same thing, except only in clusters that are marked with the Turkish location. So now we're going to go back and we're going to push this change. So we've now uncommented. We're going to uncomment these two. So you see this has been uncommented. And then we're going to add this change, commit it, and then push. And as that happens, we will pull for how this change is being propagated. So now the new policy has been pushed to the central repo, and these changes are now being automatically synced across the cluster. So you saw it went from pending to synced, so now the German cluster has this new role, and the on-prem cluster should have it as well. Let's go ahead and check. We saw previously that those roles did not exist, but now, if we go back into the on-prem cluster and look for an auditor role, yes, such a role does exist and was created 22 seconds ago. Same thing, we'll check in the German cluster, and in fact, we have an auditor policy and role in the German cluster. So that completes the demo, and here, what we've done is, in one shot, from a single source of truth, we've implemented a policy across multiple environments. As you can imagine, when you have many, many geographies and many, many clusters, this is something that's extremely valuable, especially for a security admin.
That was an awesome demo. Yeah? 2 demos. So we are done, right? Great. So we have an easy-to-start, secured platform. We can all go home. So, of course not. We are not building the platform for the sake of the platform. The most important thing is what are the applications that are going to run on that platform. Luckily, with Anthos, you can run many different types of applications on it. Starting as early as 2016, we decided that Kubernetes is going to support all workloads. We didn't want it to become a niche platform, but a platform you can really bet on. This included building container storage interface, increasing scale and performance, in-cluster security, and nurturing a rich ecosystem and adoptions of users. Our efforts bore fruit. Today, we see many types of workloads running on GKE, with 60% of GKE clusters today running stateful workloads. But that, of course, would not be complete without supporting Windows. Many of our customers have package applications or homegrown applications that are running on Windows today. Windows is now supported beta in GKE and soon to come to other Anthos environments. You can upgrade legacy server applications, develop cloud-native microservices, and really run your Linux and Windows container pods side by side, leveraging all the capabilities and rich functionality of GKE. And this is exactly what Helix did. They containerized a homegrown .NET application, and they run it in GKE and their production clusters already today. They wanted the same level of capabilities and management that they are love and familiar with from their Linux containers and applications. They appreciate having features like auto-scaling, logging, and monitoring, everything baked into the platform. Beyond this, often we are being asked, so can I use my favorite monitoring tool or my developer tool? This is where our technology partners come in. In our marketplace, there are commercial and open source Kubernetes applications for security, databases, developer tools, monitoring, and more through our Google Cloud Marketplace. Those are all enterprise-ready applications, ready to be deployed, and they are being tested continuously. They can be deployed on Anthos, either in the cloud or on premises. And we didn't stop here. To make sure Anthos is your one platform for the future, we knew we need to find a better way for you to move your existing workloads to GKE and help our customers realize the value of Kubernetes and microservices, like cost reduction, easy management, and security for broader of their setup of their applications. Today, this process is manual, risky, and long. Migrate for Anthos changes that. When I talk with customers about Migrate for Anthos, their eyes light up. They want to move to this new platform, but many of them have workloads that often are not under active development, but still consume many of the org's resources for ongoing maintenance. They are really holding the entire org back. Migrate for Anthos automatically convert your applications to portable Kubernetes entities. Our sweet spot is multi-tier web applications, enterprise solutions. Migrate for Anthos is free, and it can be used to migrate workloads from AWS, Azure, or on-premises directly to GKE. And it's GA today. And this is exactly what customers like Dev Factory like. So they've been using Migrate for Anthos with their existing workloads. They immediately realized cost-saving and modernized operational model. They've been able to bin pack their now containerized workloads and achieve better resource utilization. And they freed their teams from ongoing maintenance activities like costly kernel upgrades and enable desired state-based management for network, storage, and application policies.
All right. So I'd like to give you an actual example of how Anthos is running alongside traditional enterprise applications. And in order to do that, we're going to have a customer join us. Please welcome Falko Lameter, CIO of Kaeser Compressors. Welcome, Falko. Thank you so much for joining us. You know, can you please tell our audience a little bit about the business of Kaeser compressors?
Kaeser Kompressoren is a German-based manufacturer of compressors and compressed air solutions for customers in more than 100 countries. We have own activities and subsidiaries in 50 countries globally. And our job is to run our compressed air stations at customer side for our biggest customers, mainly in the automotive or chemicals. They need 100% availability of compressed air, and this is our special offer for them.
It's one of our most proud moments when we are able to work with a customer like yourself. Of course, we have to integrate into your environment. So would you please tell us a little bit about your application environment?
Yes, what you see here is a compressed air station built into a container that is used in the oil and gas area in the Near East, upstream oil business like Saudi Arabia, for instance. This is a special solution in a special industry, but the main market is stationary compressed air stations in big plants, like in the automotive area, yeah? Automotive supplier and automotive manufacturers around the world. That is that we connect these compressed air stations with our data center, that we collect the machine data and combine it with our business data. For that, we are running the complete SAP stack, let's say. What you see here, we are already on S/4HANA since 2 years. We are rolling out C/4HANA. We are running a project, a co-innovation project with the Intelligent Asset Management is the name, where you have predictive maintenance connected to asset intelligence and predictive engineering insights. Predictive engineering insights is something where you can simulate the operation of a compressed air station. This is all running in the cloud. And in the center of all this, there is the data hub. The data hub is the tool where you can connect all data streams from our machine data, from the business, or from the cloud, maybe cloud applications. You can combine this all. And this is the era where the data scientists are busy. Yeah?
This was very impressive. So why did you choose Anthos to help you in this environment?
Yes, this was a little bit, we started, the data hub is very new from SAP, and we are really the first customer to get it live. So everything was very innovative, agile, and we tested on Amazon Cloud, but to get, for the productive environment, we were looking for the best option. And this happened last year at the Google Next Cloud that I had this presentation from Urs, where he said there was Google Kubernetes Engine on-prem available. I went home, I said, okay, we can do this on Google, and this is the beginning of the story, and at the end it is ended up with Anthos. We have been beta tester for that, and it is very successful. And what is the exciting thing on Anthos is that we can run or manage our containerized software that is running in the cloud or in our data center. So we are, I said to my boss, we are a Google data center now. So we are part of the Google ecosystem. And in the future, we have big customers, as I said. They may they have their own clouds, let's say, and we need to run on their clouds. So we can do this. We think that will be a mesh of cloud data centers where our software will run. And we are free to go with this.
That's an amazing vision. Thank you so much. We're delighted to be working with you, Falko.
Okay.
Thank you.
Both Falko and Dilek gave us a peek into the complexity they have to manage in order to deliver the desired business outcome. The adoption of microservices, multi-cloud environments, distributed environments just amplify that complexity. At this stage, the most valuable thing you can do is adopt a service mesh. Anthos Service Mesh is a managed service to help manage your service interaction across container and VM-based applications. Anthos Service Mesh help you convert your application from black boxes to an easy-to-understand collection of services. Built on Istio, Anthos Service Mesh lets you easily create a network of deployed services and offers you out-of-the-box telemetry for service management. It also supports advanced capabilities such as service-to-service load balancing, authentication, and metrics. Anthos Service Mesh can transparently deploy a lightweight sidecar proxy throughout your environment, spanning VMs and containers. This proxy can enforce uniform policies for all communication between services without requiring any code or configuration changes by your developers. With Anthos Service Mesh, developers are free to innovate, while the operation team has more power to enforce those policies. The visibility that you get is so eye-opening for customers that usually, through the first week, they're able to identify dozens of areas of improvements. Let's see Anthos Service Mesh in action. So I'm going to show you an example using a retail web application called Online Boutique. This application consists of dozens of microservices, like front-end and product delivery. All of the services are running on a GKE cluster. You probably don't know that, but I cannot start the day without having a strong cappuccino. So I'm going to purchase this new home barista kit that looks really promising. While I'm going through this purchase, there are actually multiple services that are participating in this transaction, like the cart, the database, and the payment service. Usually, different teams own those services. How can I track the total latency for such a transaction, or ensure that the traffic is secured? As an operator, I really have a tough job. Let's see how Anthos Service Mesh works. Here, I'm in the Anthos Service Mesh under the topology view. What I can see is a topology view of all the services deployed in the mesh. We can see what's running and who is talking to whom, and also some key metrics, like in this section, we see requests per second. Anthos Service Mesh generates these metrics without any changes to your applications, but tracking all the communication between your services. On a single screen, it becomes easy for the administrator to spot problems. We can even look on a specific service and see other metrics, like error rate and latency and requests per second. Let's now go to see a deeper view and go into the service dashboard. Here, we can see all of those metrics. Under the metrics view, we can see those golden signals like traffic and error rate and latency. But in addition to that, I can also see metrics coming from the node running the service, like CPU and memory. This is really important for developers as they fine-tune their applications. But this is not only important for the developers, but also for operators. As an operator, I can also define service-level objectives for my service. I can simply go to the user interface and choose to create a new SLO. I will create a rolling SLO for latency. I will set the compliance goal. And that's it. Faster than making tea, right? Probably like pressing a button to make an espresso. And yay, it's compliant.
You get tea and coffee.
Yes. So we got observability, but what about security? Anthos Service Mesh also lets you see all the traffic that comes to and out of that service. If I go to the connected services, for example, I can see all the other services that send traffic to the product catalog service. ASM can automatically encrypt traffic between services with mutual TLS. Here, we have enabled MTLS for product catalog, and this green lock indicates that all inbound traffic is secure. Now I'm going to show you one last thing, which is really straight from the oven. Anthos Service Mesh also makes it easy to manage traffic for your application. Let's say we want to roll out a new version, V2, and we would like to apply a canary deployment where we progressively send more traffic to the new version. Here, we have set up a traffic split 80-20 between the two versions. And we can see how the traffic is being split, and also seeing on the same view how those two versions are performing. This is really just scratching the surface of what Anthos Service Mesh can do. Come join us and learn more about Anthos Service Mesh in the next couple of days.
Great.
Yeah.
Yay. Very nice. So you saw that our customers are using Anthos. Google Cloud is actually using Anthos as well as a platform. Today we announced that our industry-leading API management solution is running on hybrid mode on Anthos. That's Apigee Hybrid, and it gives you the flexibility to run it on-prem or in the cloud. We've talked about all of the merits of Anthos, and we've demonstrated all of the capabilities. But now, at the end of the day, the reason we build this platform is for our customers, so that you can use it to change people's lives. And we've been extremely inspired by all of you. For example, in the financial services industry, there's DenizBank, there's also HSBC and other banks that are changing the face of banking today by connecting much more closely with end users. In retail, we have many retail users that are creating new in-store and online shopping experiences. And then finally, in healthcare, we have customers who are speeding up the new drug discovery and delivery process. These are changes that affect all of our lives, and they lead to improvements for all of us. So now, the million-dollar question: what new experiences will you create? We can't wait to find out. Thank you.